All right, we've just got a short video here to finish up. We were talking about the stages of sleep. Stage 1 lasts about 10 minutes from beta waves to alpha waves to theta waves. Stage 2 lasts about 20 minutes. We have the sleep spindles. Remember, that's where they go and then boom, they check and they come up. Stage 3 lasts about 30 minutes of delta waves of deep sleep. That's that sleep that you just covet. That's the sleep. Okay. Stage 4 lasts about 30 minutes. You have deep sleep and then you go into the rapid eye movement. Now, when you're in REM and you begin to have dreams, you go into this deep sleep, and then as you get into rapid eye movement, you begin to think, okay? You begin to think and your brain begins to start kind of going through processes again. You've sorted all the working memory. Now, a couple of interesting things happen in REM. First of all, dreams can happen in REM, okay? It's the only time of sleep where we actually dream, okay? So let's think about it. If you take a nap for 10 minutes and you're in stage 1, and then you spend 20 minutes in stage 2, that's 30. So you've been sleeping an hour before you really can start to dream. Now, it's possible that you may go through the stages faster. Some people may fall asleep in 2 minutes rather than 10. So that's why we say stage 1 is about 10 minutes, stage 2 is about 20, stage 3 is about 30, and then stage 4 lasts about 30 minutes. So in the rapid eye movement, we begin to move, dreams occur, but we're in this deep sleep, and then all of a sudden our eyes start to move underneath our eyelids, and then we get some more of these sleep spindles. So imagine, if you will, the brain has all kinds of memory in it. Okay, we've been talking about that. So the sleep spindles don't go for a particular type of memory. They just spike and alert the brain for a second and then turn off. So if there's smoke in the room or something really bad is happening, somebody wakes up and everything, then there's sleep spindles. They smell the smoke. They pick that up right away. It's, oh, the house is on fire, get everybody out. Okay. But what if nothing's wrong? Okay. So then when we spike up and we come up, then who knows? That spike may even trigger a memory of somebody you had in 3rd grade. Okay. Well, boom. There's just a quick visual of somebody you knew in 3rd grade. So then it comes down, nothing. You're in rapid eye movement, it spikes up. That's a memory maybe of going hunting. Wow. Boom. Then nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden maybe the memory is going to the circus. So this is why we get these really weird dreams, is because our brain has something called closure, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as we process information. So somehow our brain tries to tie all that stuff in. So here's the 3rd grader that we're hunting for an elephant walking on a ball. And we're like, wait a minute, where did all that come from? Now, you know, that's why dreams are so random and so bizarre. And that's why sometimes you'll have a dream, sometimes you won't remember the dream. Now this is interesting, okay? This is interesting. You don't remember the dream unless, okay, so after you do stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, then you go back to, you work your way back to stage 2, where you go straight to spindle fibers in your outer rim. Your eyes don't move anymore. You're not in a deep sleep. You're in a shallow sleep, and then you go up to sleep spindles. So if you begin to wake up and you've been through all the stage 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're back over starting again, a lot of times people, that will wake them up because that deep sleep, now their brain is connecting more things. And this is where a lot of people get up and need a drink of water in the middle of the night. Well, let's see how long that's been, okay? So that's 30 minutes, 1 hour, hour and a half. Now we're into the 2nd hour of sleep. It's interesting, the study they do to see when people need to get up and go to the restroom, or see when people need to get up and go get a drink of water, or see when people get up and got to stretch when they're sleeping. Some people sleep all night and they don't have any problems. I mean, they don't get up and they're just they're just sleeping through the whole night. But it's interesting because what happens is after we finish the first 4 stages, when we go to stage 2, that's when the body begins to kind of come back a little bit, and the brain says, okay, now what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And so they says, oh yeah, you need to go to the restroom. You better get up and go. Oh, you're really thirsty. Oh, you better go get a drink. So that's stage 2. Now, when somebody is in REM, okay, when somebody is in REM, this rapid eye movement, something else that can happen if somebody sleepwalks, that's in REM. That's when they're actually functioning, but they're totally in the unconscious state. So once again, we go through stages 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we repeat them and go back to stage 2. We don't go back to stage 1. We don't wake up totally and then start thinking and then go on. No, we go from REM in stage 4 directly back into stage 2, which is sleep spindles, which means that the brain is actually moving here and then spiking. And so we're actually having some thought process going on, and the sleep spindles go fairly often. So for about 20 minutes we do that, and then we do what? We go back into deep sleep. And then we go into delta waves and deep sleep in stage 3, and then we go to stage 4 again, where the deep sleep gives way to REM, and REM is good deep sleep, but your mind begins to work. In REM, we also begin to sort the memories of the day. So if you get enough sleep, okay, now this is new research. Your book describes this. It talks about it. It's really fascinating. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it too. You're not only arresting all the cells in your body and your heart, and your lungs, your respiratory system, and your cardiac system, but in your brain, you're slowing it down. You're allowing your brain to rest. You're processing all of this working memory from your frontal lobe into what we're going to keep, what we're not going to keep. You sort all those, put them into your long-term memory. So, for example, you stay up all night and you study for a test in college or a big presentation for your job or something like that. Well, you really need to sleep. You really need to get some sleep, because if you can do all that a couple of days before the test, then you can put it in your long-term memory, and it's much easier to find and much easier to get to, because then you can associate that question with a memory, and boom, it's there. As opposed to staying up all night and never taking anything out of your working memory, and then you've got to find that answer in your working memory that's tied in with what? Remember? That 1,000 pages of everything else we stored in our working memory. Okay, so it's important that it's important that you don't wait till the last minute to study, because then if you don't get enough sleep, if you don't get enough sleep, then you don't get that out of your working memory into your long-term memory, where it becomes an association. Okay, you see what I'm beginning to say here? See the importance? Okay, so how much sleep should we have? So let's pull this out of our book. This is fascinating. Okay, this is fascinating. I'm gonna read this out of your book. This 20th edition, 2017, hot off the press. New research on how much sleep you need. Now, who's to say it's not going to change with more research? But they're pretty sure this is pretty accurate. So they break this apart into regular sleep and then deep sleep with REM sleep. They say when you are 1 to 15 days old, that you need 16 hours of sleep. Wow. And they're saying that 8 of those hours have to be deep sleep in REM. So we got to think, okay, so how much REM are we getting? Well, here we go. We got 10, 30, 1 hour. We've got an hour and a half for all 4 stages, but we lose 30 minutes of it each time. Okay, so 1/3 of all your sleep is going to be REM. Okay, 1/3. All right. So no, I'm sorry. 1/3 of your sleep is not REM. 2/3 of your sleep is REM. Okay, so it takes 30 minutes to get into this deep sleep. So they're saying that if you're 1 to 15 days old, that a baby needs 16 hours sleep. Wow, that's a lot. Now, why is that? Well, let's think about this baby, 1 to 15 days. How much memory? How much is that baby taking from the conscious and putting into the unconscious? Everything. That's a blank disc. That's a baby putting everything in. Okay. So then we go. So now 3 to 5 months, they drop it down to 15 hours. 3 to 5 months. Now 6 to 23 months, they're saying 13 hours of sleep. But instead of 8 hours REM, they only need 4 hours of REM. Because what does the other sleep do? The other sleep, the REM sleep, is what allows your mind to rest and to take the working memory and put it into long-term memory. What does the other sleep do? It rests your heart, and it rests your lungs, and it allows the cells to grow in your body. So 6 to 23 months, they're saying 13 hours. And then 2 to 3 years old, they say you need 12 hours of sleep, but you only need about 3 hours of REM. Wow. So 13 hours of sleep, 3 hours of REM. 3 to 5 years old, okay, 3 to 5 years old, they're saying you need 11 hours sleep and 2 hours of REM. 5 to 9 years old, 10 hours sleep, 2 hours REM. 10 to 13 years old, 8 hours sleep, 10 hours sleep, 2 hours REM, and then it goes in 14 to 18 is 8 hours of sleep and 2 hours of REM. And then 19 to 30 years old, and I assume a lot of you are in that category, okay, they say that you need, it's interesting, 7 hours and 45 minutes. Now what happened to the 8 hours? They're going to let you slide on 7 hours and 45 minutes. And why it's not 8, I don't know. It's interesting to study here. But the reason that they calculate, I say I don't know why, I do know why. The reason is because you've got, depends on how long it takes you to fall asleep. Because they say you need at least a good hour and a half of REM. REM is a deep sleep. REM is a deep sleep. And then it's kind of interesting because, so now we need 7.5. Now what would you think about 33 to 45 years old, okay? They're saying you need 7.5 hours sleep and at least a good hour of REM. What about 50 to 70 hours? 50 to 70, that'd be a lot of sleep. 50 to 70 years old, would you think it would start going back up? Now, what's the deal? No, they say this is what you need. Okay, this is what you need. And so 50 to 70 years old, you need 6. But is 8 healthier for 50 to 7? And the book says, yes, 8 is healthier. Now, is a lot of hours of sleep healthy? Well, it depends on what your average sleep is. Okay, so now let's go 70 to 85 years old. Would you think now maybe we would jump that back up to 8 or 9 hours? And the answer is no. Okay, no. You need 6 hours of sleep, and you need at least 30 minutes of REM. What? So how come people sleep so long, okay, at 70 to 85? And the answer is really simple. Because the person doesn't get to REM near as fast. When you're young and you're sleeping and you're absorbing all this stuff, that's good. Why does a person who's 70 to 85 not need as much REM as somebody who's 1 to 35 days? It's because what is the REM doing? The REM is taking our short-term memory and putting it into our long-term memory. Somebody that's 70 to 85 is not picking up a lot of new memory. They say 30 minutes of REM. They're just absorbing some new things. Now, let me ask you something else. We're going to have another chapter a little bit later that's going to talk about memory. All right? So, do we have more memory at 70 to 85, or do we have more memory from 1 to 15 days? And the answer is 1 to 15 days, because the REM that's required there is 8 hours. 8 hours to sort out the working memory that we have and put it in long term. Now, let's go to your age again, okay? All right, and maybe you're 19 to 30, maybe you're 14 to 18, maybe you're 70 to 85, I don't know. But 14 to 18 years, all right, it says you need 8 hours of sleep, but you've got to have 2 hours of REM, because you're taking in a ton of memory still. And then we go down to 19 to 30 years old, 7 hours and 45 minutes, but you still need 2 hours of REM. So, what are we saying? We're saying REM is that deep sleep, and you need that. And why do we need the sleep? We've got to process the memories. Why do we need regular sleep, non-REM sleep? We need to rest our heart, rest our lungs, allow ourselves to grow. And we can do that by just laying still in bed and totally resting our cardio. You know, some nights you can't sleep and you're like, does it do any good to just lay perfectly still? And the answer is yes. It rests your heart, it rests your lungs. Okay. So that's the difference between the non-REM sleep and the REM sleep. The REM sleep processes your thought, takes all your working memory and stores it in the long-term memory, sorts out the information. Now, new set of information. Fascinating material. We're going to wrap it up here. Once you go through 2 cycles of REM and you've taken all of the long-term memory, then your brain begins to predict things that are going to happen the next